Hello, hi everybody. Thank you for joining our pet talk today. My name is Dr. Alisan Parnes, and I'm going to be sharing some information with you today on a breakthrough product for our pets, our dogs, our cats, our horses, our pretty much every mammal you can think of, also applicable to ourselves. And so just really want to kind of share this information with you. It's something that many people have never heard about. So if you've been invited to this call, it's because someone really wants to get this information out to you, and obviously you're a pet lover. And so I'm honored to be able to share with you today. I'm going to share my screen and just go through a presentation, just tell you a little bit about my story with this as well. So give me 1 second to do that. Okay. All right. So we're going to be talking about something that is literally like flipping the switch on our pets' health and longevity, just to help them have a better quality of life, help them have longer years of life with good quality, because that's really what we want, is not just the number of years extended, but the quality of those years. And so a little bit about me is I have been a veterinarian in Georgia for the last 18 years. I'm certified in veterinary acupuncture. I have a farm up in North Georgia, and just really, truly love my job. And about 10 years into general practice, I started to kind of get a little disenchanted with just the limitations of conventional medicine. I really felt like all I was doing was prescribing, diagnosing diseases, prescribing drugs, a lot of times dealing with side effects created from those drugs and having to use more drugs. And I was just seeing so many animals coming into my office with chronic diseases, diagnosing 3 to 5 cases of cancer a week in all ages of animals. And commonly people would ask me, what could I have done to prevent this, and what caused this? And, especially when it comes to cancer, it's like, gosh, there's just so many things we don't know. We don't know the cause, right? And I just felt, is it the diet? Is it the environment? Is it the genes? And then people were coming into my office and just dumping loads of these vitamins and supplements on my table, asking, is this good for my pet? Is this good for my pet? And honestly, I wasn't very educated on herbs at the time. And I also really didn't know a lot of these products, if they were good quality, if they truly had what the label said it had in it. And I really just felt like I couldn't speak on it or endorse a lot of these things. And so that's really what led me into getting my certification in acupuncture. Through that, I learned a lot about Chinese herbs, and just a different approach to health in our pets, and how to have more of a proactive approach versus a reactive approach. In med school and vet school, we're really not taught a lot about being proactive with health. We're taught about how to diagnose disease and how to treat disease. But what can we do to get ahead of disease? How can we be proactive with not only our pets' health, but our own health? And, I think nowadays people are really starting to look at this for themselves, and just how to stay healthy, how to keep our immune system strong, cutting out chemicals and different drugs out of their life if they can, and moving into a more holistic approach. And so we're going to really focus on that today. So I'm going to advance my thing if it'll let me here. There we go. And so really what this talk is going to be about is just how do we get down to the root cause of illness and imbalance in the body. That's really what we want to do, because the top of the tree is where the things are, diseases are expressed, right? This is when we start to see a problem in the body, but look how deep it goes before it actually comes to the surface. And so we want to get down to the root. What can we do to maybe intervene in some of these things? And so the root in the body really is at the cell. Cells are the foundation of health. And cells then form tissues which form organs, which make up your body. So we need to get down to how do we keep our cells as healthy as possible. So what you see here on the left is a normal cell. And over time, our cells become attacked by free radicals we'll talk about. And these free radicals are very toxic to the cell. And over time, it can damage the cell and it can also kill the cell. So we need to somehow get involved with breaking this free radical damage as much as possible. So free radicals come from many different things. It comes from normal metabolic processes such as eating and drinking and just breathing air. It's a byproduct of oxygen breakdown. And so it's normal to have some free radicals in the body from just normal bodily processes. But when you start to add many of the other things that our animals and us are exposed to, then these free radicals build up to a level that our bodies can't handle it. And so some of the causes are going to be everything from pollution, pesticides, insecticides, radiation, exhaust from fuels, the number of chemicals we come into contact with every day just in normal life is crazy. I'll talk a little bit about that, but all of these things lead to oxidative stress and free radicals. So I got ahead of myself with free radicals attacking the cells and overwhelming our body. That leads to oxidative stress. And oxidative stress really is the key that we need to focus on, because this is what we see associated with so many different disease processes. So we need to cut down on oxidative stress. And there's been a number that's been calculated, which is crazy, that the average person produces 300 sextillion free radicals every single day, just because of all of the things in our environment and, lifestyle. And so that is a huge number, 3 with however many zeros after that. And so that overwhelms our normal defense mechanisms. And then as we get that buildup occurring day in and day out, the oxidative stress levels rise, and that's what damages the cells. And it's the same process as the browning of an apple or rusting of metal. And really, you can think of it kind of like rusting on the inside of our bodies. So why is oxidative stress important? Well, this is something called the oxidative stress wheel. And the bottom line is that pretty much every disease you can think of or that you don't want in your body or your animal's body is linked to elevated oxidative stress or high oxidative stress. And so when you get to the root, this is it. Depending on your genetic makeup, it may manifest in different ways. And so if you have a propensity, say in your family, for say rheumatoid arthritis, or in your dog for hip dysplasia or osteoarthritis or cataracts or diabetes, the oxidative stress is kind of like the trigger for these disease processes to begin and to get worse. And so you can look around this and see it affects every single cell in the body, from your heart to your brain. Oxidative stress is the cause of Alzheimer's disease. It's the cause of canine cognitive dysfunction. It's a huge part of our, mental decline. As we get older, the oxidative stress gets higher and affects our brains. The big killers in humans: heart disease, diabetes, cancer. All of these things are related to oxidative stress. So we need to lower that. And so I talk a lot about, I guess, going back between people and animals, because really, this is something that not only do our pets need, but we as humans need this stuff. And I actually learned about it through another veterinarian who was telling me about it for my patients, but I was also dealing with some pretty serious health issues with my own children. They both had a genetic kidney disease and kidney transplants. And so I was already looking at ways to help support their body. And so I really, my whole family has been using this product for years now. And so it's not only helped my patients and my animals, but also our entire family. But to kind of keep it focused on the animals today, just wanting to kind of give you a veterinary perspective on this. Our pets are, they age much faster than we do, right? We know that, we're lucky to get 15 or 16 years out of our dogs, right? And that's a pretty long time. And we see that they age faster than us, and oxidative stress is huge for them. They actually have higher levels even than we do because of a lot of the things that they're exposed to, which we're going to talk about that. So for example, they are typically, most animals are given monthly products to prevent fleas and heartworms and deworming. So these medications that are being applied to them every month, or that they're ingesting every month. They're also outside. Obviously, they're not wearing shoes. And so pretty much anything they touch on the ground, they can absorb through their skin. So if you think about just all of the things they can come into contact with outside, whether it be pesticides and herbicides and other chemicals that are in the soil. Drinking even tap water can be a source for many toxic things, such as chemicals, heavy metals, even hormones and pesticides. And then also their diets. Most of them are eating processed foods that are heated at very high temperatures and have byproducts in there that are known carcinogens, these preservatives, these GMOs. So their diet is another huge factor that can cause higher levels of free radicals and oxidative stress. And so we want to be able to combat these free radicals. And there are a couple different ways of doing this. One is much more efficient than the other. So on the left side of the screen these are our direct antioxidants. And these are going to be things you've heard of, such as vitamin C and vitamin E, omega-3 fatty acids, flavonoids, all the good foods and juices and blueberries. And those are all great things. But when it comes to reducing oxidative stress, they're not very effective because it's not activating your body to do anything. It's really just a supplement. So you're supplementing your body with an antioxidant, and it will fight one free radical at a time. So it's a one and done process. So if you remember the number of free radicals we have to deal with, and it's probably even higher in animals, that 300 sextillion, you can see that there's just no way possible you can consume enough direct antioxidants to neutralize that amount of free radicals. So what we really need to do is we need to use what our bodies do innately, which is to produce antioxidant enzymes that can scavenge free radicals by the millions per second. And as we get older, these enzymes in our body, such as glutathione, SOD, and catalase, start to decline. And as they decline, the free radicals build up. And so we have to, what science has discovered is how to flip this process back on, to turn on our body's ability to produce these enzymes like we did as a child or a puppy or a kitten. And so we've discovered through something called NRF2 activation that it literally is like a light switch that flips on our genes that are responsible for making these antioxidants. And when that happens, these enzymes start to be produced in high numbers where it can now neutralize 1 million free radicals every single second. So, the difference to me in these two types of antioxidants is the one on the left is sort of like pouring a Dixie cup of water on a house fire, versus on the right, you are having a fire hose in every room of the house. And so it's just that scale of a difference. So we need to work with our bodies, activate our bodies, not just supplement. And so that's really where this whole field of nutrigenomics comes into play, because we're looking at how nutrition and naturally occurring compounds like herbs can affect our genes. And this is not a new concept. We might be able to explain it more scientifically now, but this has been used for thousands of years in Eastern medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. They know that there are certain foods, and especially when you combine them with others, that can help symptoms of certain things, right? So this is really using food as medicine. And so that's where Pet Tandem comes in. This is our product. This is our nutrigenomic NRF2 activator for dogs. And it's the first of its kind. There's nothing else like it on the market. And these formulas are patented. It's herbal. And so that I love that because, again, it's something that we know from a science perspective works to help the body, and it's not going to cause a lot of the side effects that you get sometimes with these pharmaceuticals. And so what's in it is basically 5 herbs that have been, again, used for thousands of years in other countries, but the 5 are milk thistle, bacopa, ashwagandha, green tea, and turmeric. And it's really the way that these herbs are combined that make this so powerful. And so the other thing that I really, love about this is that we do have a dog study. And Pet Tandem came out, I want to say, it was based off of the human formula. So there's Pro Tandem Nerf 2, which is basically the human version of Pet Tandem. And what started happening is people were they were experiencing good results taking the Pro Tandem. And they started giving it to their dogs, and they started seeing great results in their dogs. And so the company actually listened to some of the testimonials of, people and saying, hey, it'd be great if you could make this in a flavored, chewable version for our dogs. And so that's what the company ended up doing. So Pro Tandem's been around for 15 years, and Pet Tandem came on the scene, I would say, about 10 years ago. And so we have a lot of history with it, and we even have dog studies. And the cool thing about this study, it was a double-blind, placebo-controlled study where these dogs, they were on average of 8 years old. They were split up into 2 groups, and one was getting Pet Tandem, the other was getting a placebo. And they were looking at 2 different things in the study. One was their overall improvement in their mobility, their activity level, their mental acuity, focus, playfulness. And so they were looking at those kind of subjective things, but then they were also measuring the enzymes in their blood, these antioxidant enzymes that we talked about. And so in the study, the veterinarians didn't know which animals were taking the Pet Tandem or the placebo, and neither did the owners. And before the study was even unblinded, everybody knew which group of dogs was on the Pet Tandem because they could see it in their change in their activity, their mobility. A lot of these dogs had arthritis, and they were noticing that they were moving better, they were feeling better, they were more active. And so it was kind of funny because they already knew the results just by looking at the animals before it was unblinded. But then when they did unblind it, they also saw an overall 47% change in the enzyme production. So I love that we have, the blood markers in addition to the subjective clinical markers. As a doctor, the science to me was really what drew me in, because there's a lot of herbs and things out there that we just don't have a lot of good scientific data on. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence that things work, but with this, we actually have real studies. And these were based off of the human Pro Tandem Nerf 2, but a lot of them were done in mice. And these universities and medical schools funded these studies on their own because they knew basically the first study that ever came out on Pro Tandem, and it showed a 40% reduction in oxidative stress within the first 30 days. So that was huge. ABC Primetime did an investigative report on it, thinking it was too good to be true, and validated it. And so I would encourage you guys to look that up if you haven't seen it. It's pretty incredible. But when 40% reduction in that short amount of time, that got the attention of a lot of these medical schools and universities. And so they all began funding their own research. And you can find all of the studies on pubmed.gov. Just type Pro Tandem in the search bar and it'll pull up over 24 studies. And so how can we, what kind of benefits can we see in our pets? So there's a lot of different benefits, but and each one, I will say, can respond differently because it is working with their genes and their own DNA. But a lot of the common things you will see is just overall better skin and hair coat, increased energy, endurance. Horses and dogs, I mean, they're athletes. And so you will notice that a lot of times you're going to see improvements in just their abilities to perform and exercise, healthier immune system, better joint health, mobility, reduced joint pain, inflammation, stronger resistance to allergies, huge one in the South. We see allergies all the time down here. Better tooth and gum health, better heart health, increased cognitive function, reduction of age-related issues. And, I've seen improvements in so many different ways. I can't even tell you, just even sometimes helping these animals cope with certain medications that they're on, just reducing the side effects associated with that. Because this isn't a drug, we really can't make medical claims that this cures or treats any disease. But if you start to look at the link, as I said, between oxidative stress and all these different diseases, you can see the benefit, or you can connect those dots of, okay, if we know that that's at the root and we can cut that down by 40% and even up to 70%, why wouldn't you want to do that? So this is the product here. It is based on weight. For the small and small breed dogs, I will usually recommend this. For the larger dogs, especially over 70 pounds, I would recommend just using the human version, because otherwise you would have to go through about 3 of these bottles a month. With the human version, it's 1 tablet a day, just like we would take. And so I use them interchangeably depending on the weight of the animal. And you can also give this to cats. I typically use the toy breed dosage for cats. So either a half of a tablet or sometimes a fourth of a tablet. This is also a huge deal. The NASC seal is really tells you that this product is quality and effective. And the thing is, most animal supplements are not required to have any third-party auditing. They can put whatever they want on that label, and there's nobody there to critique it or question it. It's not required for animal supplements. And so for a company to get this seal, they actually have to go out and ask for it, and ask for third parties to come in and audit their manufacturing and audit their products, and they're unannounced, and they can do it throughout the year. So essentially they come in and they, surprise the company, and they go through and look and test all the products. And so to have this seal is a big deal. And I always tell people, for any product you're giving to your pet, you want to look for this, because that's really the only way to know if what you're giving them is truly good quality. So lastly, I just want to end with a personal clinical case of mine. This actually is the first dog that I ever put on Pet Tandem. And just to give you a little background on her, she was a 15-year-old female beagle. She had terrible arthritis. She had blown cruciate ligaments in both of her knees. She had hip dysplasia. She had terrible spondylosis and disc disease in her back. And so she was crippled. She came to me as a last resort for acupuncture. At the time, the owner was having to carry her pretty much everywhere. Even when she would go to the bathroom, she had to be sort of supported, or she would fall over. She just had so much weakness in her hind end. And her quality of life wasn't good. And she was on a lot of medications. And so when she came to me for acupuncture, we talked honestly about quality of life. And, I didn't really know if she was going to respond significantly to acupuncture, but we tried it. We were doing it for about 6 weeks, and there was a little improvement. Definitely with her attitude, she seemed happier, but she was still having a really hard time. So we would talk about euthanasia almost at every visit. And the owners loved this dog so much, and they just couldn't make the decision. And so it was probably shortly after that when I learned about Pet Tandem and Pro Tandem, and I said, shoot, well, I know these owners want to do anything and everything, so I'll talk to them about it. And I told them, I said, I don't know, I've heard great things about this. I don't know how she's going to respond, but I don't think it's going to hurt anything. And they were all about it. So knowing that history, and I so wish I had a before video, I just never in a million years imagined this dog responding like this. But 6 weeks after starting Pet Tandem, they texted me this video of her in the backyard. So I'm just going to play that for you. So you can see this is something she did when she was younger. She just, you know, that typical happy spin. I mean, this was something she hadn't done in years. And I mean, just the fact that she could even run around like that. But, you know, she pretty much slept all the time. She didn't really engage anymore with the other dogs or really the owners. And now, you know, this is her out there enjoying the day. She's actually more active than all the other dogs. And I think they're like, what in the world has gotten into Ellie? She's feeling so much better. So anyway, that was huge. I mean, after that happened with her, and I started using it on a lot of other patients, and that was 7 years ago. And I am still extremely passionate about it, and really share it every time I can with people. And so with my PowerPoint, I wasn't able to see questions in the chat. So I'm just going to look and see if anybody has any questions. Placebo control. You know, the funny thing is with animals, right? There is no placebo. When something works, it works, and you can see it. Unlike humans, sometimes we're like not sure, are we feeling any different or are we not? But with animals, I love the fact that we see it when it's working. Okay, well, it doesn't look like anybody has any specific questions, but definitely, get back with the person who invited you to the call. There's a lot of really great videos on YouTube. If you type in Pro Tandem and dogs, there's a really good one of a lab named Cassie the dog, and that's probably my favorite video. She's an older yellow lab with arthritis, and I love sharing that one. So, but you can definitely find all sorts of other videos on there as well. But it's a great product. It's great to be able to offer them something that can help them age gracefully and really truly do something that no other product out there can do. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and thank you, Kamile, for doing the recording, and I will talk to you all later.